My name's Joe K. Liow. Joe, J-O-E, K is Kaojio, K-A-O-J-I-O. Last name's L-I-O-W, but that's my stepfather's last name. So I like to tack on my family name, which is P-H-A-N, Phan. So currently I go by Joe Kaojio Liow Phan. I don't know, and Kao signifies the oldest son in the family. I think I left Laos when I was 6 years old, so I can't really remember much, but I do have some vague memories of living next to Mekong River. I think they had some kind of lumber mill somewhere near the river. I can remember some of that. I remember tagging along with my parents as they work on their farm. I think at the time I was just chasing after insects. I do recall my mom telling me that I think at 6 or 5 there was a horse that, because they have these little makeshift bridge that they can take the animals across, and I guess what happened was the animal tripped and fell and was killed on the bridge. And so my mom told me, "Oh yeah, did you remember? I don't know if you remember or not, but you sort of wrote a song about that horse losing its life at the bridge." Oh, okay, that's interesting. But mainly that's pretty much all I remember in Laos until I went back last year. And I hear people tell me that, oh, well, especially the elders, they say, oh, we walked so-and-so from this town to another town. It took us the whole day or half a day. And I always hear half day, whole day, because that's how they measure time from one town to another. And they always talked about that. Oh yeah, from this town to that town it's half a day, or this town to that town is another day. And when we went back there, this particular city, they go, oh well, that's a half a day from this city. And we drove, it was like 15 minutes. And I was beside myself, wow, half a day and 15 minutes. I didn't realize that the proximity of these towns, because I've never been there. I only hear from the elders that, oh, the distance is a day, 2 days. I know in Laos, I know we had a farm that my family used for self-sustaining purposes, and it was near the Mekong River. And my dad as a child, my stepdad as my biological dad, it's the same situation. They were serving, fighting with the Hmong and the CIA. I think they were maneuvering through the jungles of Laos at age of 14, 15. They were somewhat drafted in the Mien community to go, and when Laos fell, many of these parents, including my biological dad and my stepdad, were being persecuted. So I remember my dad, one night he took us and he said, well, we're leaving. And I didn't know why we were leaving. I just knew that we were leaving. So he took all the family members and went to this the farm that we've had near the river. And so somehow he had arranged with someone that he knew that could take us from the Lao border to the other side of the river, which is Thailand. And they had refugee camps set up, not close to the river, but we had to try. I can't remember how long we traveled, but we attempted to crossed the river twice. Wasn't successful the first time around. Because what happened was the communist Lao soldiers they do the rounds along the river, and so when they knew certain areas where people have farming and have a hut that are in the area, so they go and they stay with them. So the first night we try to leave, they happened to be there, and the people who came from Thailand to pick us up came, and the soldiers heard, so they went down and shot at them. And so, but I don't know how my dad did. I think he has to offer more in terms of fees to these people to come back. And so I think what he did was, we had 2 cows. I think in Laos and Thailand, it's cows are very, very valuable to a family, and so he agreed to give the 2 animals to these people, so they would come back and get us another time. And so we were successful that second time around, but I guess because what happened the first time, these people who took us to the Thai border side, the Thai side of the river, we were robbed. I remember these guys. It was as soon as we got off the little canoe-like boat that had a little engine, and so as soon as we got off, unloaded our stuff, our belongings, and these guys came out of the. They have these tall, I don't know what they call, tall bushes, and they just came out. I don't know. I think it was an M16 that they had, several of those and several handguns, and they pretty much took anything that's valuable that's to us and to them. I remember they checked everyone. They even checked. I was 6 years old then. They checked my shoes. They made me take off my shoes to see if we were hiding any monies or anything valuable in the shoe. But I remember my stepdad asking them to have mercy on us, to give us some of the things that they took from us, especially money. And I think he said that because he has, a young child, he wants to at least have them give something back to us so that we can at least get to our destination. And I guess they took pity on us. They took some money and threw it on the ground at my stepfather. So next thing I knew, we were in the refugee camps in Thailand. I think we stayed there for about 5 or 6 years. No schooling. Well, we had some schooling, but it was not a formal schools, and it's a sort of like a makeshift school, and they had people coming from outside of the camp to teach individuals who are interested in Thai. And so I was able to attend first and second grade, learn a few things, and from there we went I guess the process was that you apply for to be sponsored to the States or whoever wants to sponsor you to other parts of the world. We were sponsored by this, I think they were Catholic Church in Fargo, North Dakota. And so that's how we got to Fargo, North Dakota. I guess the process was you fill the applications, and then you wait until someone responds, and then if someone's interested, and you go through these health screenings and make sure you're okay. I guess they didn't want anyone who has some kind of sickness. They didn't want them to travel until they're cleared. And so from there, we had to leave my grandparents there by themselves. They were about in their 50s or so. And that was really hard to do for most families. When they apply for that and people are telling them, your immediate family only, you cannot take your in-laws. And so they had to stay behind. We came, and then when we established ourselves in the States, we sponsored them and we got them to come. But it was hard. I mean, it was really hard for a lot of the Mien families because of that situation. So anyways, we went to Bangkok, which is, we've gone through another screening there while you're at Bangkok in one of the camps. If you were sick, they delayed your travels. So I think we stayed there for about a month or so. I can't remember exactly, but we came, finally got the green light to come to the States, and I guess we came to San Francisco. At San Francisco, we have these strangers who met us there and gave me a really, really thick, warm coat. And to myself, you know, as a child, you're coming from Southeast Asia where it's always hot and humid, and I'm wondering to myself, why would I need this? I don't understand why you're giving me this. But, you know, we were people who didn't have many things, and so we're always appreciative of what was given to us, and we'll take it. Little would I know that we'll be in Fargo, North Dakota in February. So when we got there, it finally hit me and goes, okay, I know now. I realized why you're giving me this. And it was the first time I was seeing snow, and I fell in love with snow ever since. I love to go to the ski resorts and go play in the snow. But it was quite shocking. I mean, as we got to the airport, you know, one of the misunderstanding for a lot of the Mien people is that, you know, the escalator we've never seen any mechanical, you know, items like that. You know, you stand on it and you think, okay, you better get off when that thing hits the end, otherwise it's going to suck you in, which is completely illogical. But we didn't know any better, and so we, towards the end, before it even gets to the end, we hop off. And so I have a lot of the Mien people did that just for that reason. But as we were coming down, our sponsors met us there, and they gave me a canned soda, a Coke, I remember. But I've never seen canned sodas before. In Thailand, if you're lucky, you get, like, once a year you might get a soda, but it's in bottle. It's a bottled Coca-Cola products. I saw this can. I'm like, oh, what is this? It looks familiar. The logo looks familiar, but it doesn't look anything like what I've seen the minimal times that I've seen the product. But that was quite shocking because I didn't know what it was. I was a translator for my family, and the words that I knew were yes and no. And so I was expected, you know, as the oldest child, you're expected to do these things for your parents, and I'm armed with 2 words and I'm translating. So I didn't know how much of a translating I was doing, but it was, I guess, the sponsored the church that sponsors, they understood, and sometimes we have miscommunications, but eventually we use sign language and some of the universal sign language, and we're able to communicate a little bit. They rented a home for us, and it was first time I had to leave for school and open up the door, and surprised to see there's no walkway in February, so we had to kind of dig our little path, and it was a big storm the night before and cover all the path, and we had to dig out the path, and had to do that a number of times in February. But I was able, the school that I was supposed to go to wasn't very far, so, but then because it was winter time, they came and picked us up in buses. But in the springtime, I would just ride my bike. But in school, I was really blessed because I had a friend who sort of helped me. I know her name is Christy Hemmel, and she lives in Austin, Minnesota now. I haven't seen her in a long time, but from time to time I contact her. But in any case, she was instrumental to making me feel comfortable, making me feel like, you know, maybe I can make it there.
And was she your age, or was she?
Yes,
we were both.
Mm-hmm. We were both in 4th grade, and the first, it was I think it was my birthday, and the teacher, this Mrs. Anderson, I think it was, that was like 30 years ago. I'm surprised I can remember her name. Mrs. Anderson, she gave me some type of, I think a Snicker or some kind of candy bar, and I've never seen it before, and I was really shy, and so I didn't know what to do, and I ran into the boys' bathroom. I wouldn't come out for anyone, so she had to send my one friend Christy, and she had to go into the boys' bathroom to try to get me to come out, and eventually I came out, but I didn't understand why, because in Laos and in Thai, our culture, we really don't receive anything for our birthdays, and so that was quite surprising to me, and I didn't understand what this was for, or the significance of giving someone gifts during their birthdays and appreciations. I didn't understand that. But because of our religious beliefs, we believe in shaman, animism, and we need shamans to help us perform our rituals. And so my stepdad somehow arranged and spoke to our sponsors, and they didn't want us to go, but I don't know how he explained to them that our religion was important. I assume that they understand, they knew that it is important to us, but I don't know how he was able to communicate to them that this is why we need to move somewhere else. And so they bought us train tickets, and so we rode from Fargo, North Dakota, all the way up to Seattle, Washington, where we had some relatives and who lived in the area. That was the late 1980s. We lived there for, I think, 3 or 4 years until my stepfather lost his job, and then we came to California. But while we were in Seattle, the same situation. I mean, by which time I had learned a few more English words, and I was doing a little bit better in terms of translating for the family. But they, while we were there, there's Lao people, there's Mien people who've been there prior to us, who could speak a little bit better than we did. So we were able to have these services provided to us by the community there. I went, I went to middle school. I went to 5th grade through 9th grade. I can remember some of the things that we used to do in middle school. It was probably the most fun I ever had. Although I didn't know, I'm not really fluent in English yet, but it just feels fun and exciting. But from the K-12 standpoint, we had this one teacher, this one reading teacher who is supposed to assess us and I guess place us in the appropriate reading group. And she made me feel really bad because she assessed us, and I felt that I was a little bit better than that. So that was 30 years ago, and I still remember how it felt. So when I'm teaching in a classroom, I try to remind myself not to do something like that because kids will remember. And she placed some of my friends in one group and a few of the friends and myself in another group, and she gave us a book that goes, I think it was, "This is a chair." And she made us repeat that, and I'm to myself, I think I know this already. I don't understand why you keep making me read this and why you place me in this class. So I took that as a learning experience, and to not do that to my own students in the classroom. Anyways, my dad lost his job, and so he decided to relocate us to California. That was in 1983 or 84, something like that. But the last year we were in Seattle, I was fortunate to be involved with the community. Then I didn't really realize what impact it might have on me in the future, but I think it did, because we went and volunteered. A couple of friends and I went volunteer, and we helped them perform traditional dances. And from there, we got to go to many of the community functions, such as weddings and New Year's, and especially the New Year's. And in the 80s, the New Year's is where you go to meet all these Mien people from California, from Oregon, and I think that was one of the pieces that helped me understand the importance of the Mien culture, and wanted to eventually do something and work with the community, and which is I'm trying to do at this point. But while we were dancers for them, cultural dance, I had the opportunity to try a few instruments and musical instruments, and that's how I got started in music, and we spoke about that earlier. But when we moved to California, my friend from Seattle, I didn't know they were coming. We came maybe a couple months earlier, and they followed us. But I saw him like, oh, okay, well, at least I know one person. And so he was involved with his uncle who taught him how to play guitar, and so we kind of got together and go, well, let's play with him, and from there we started our band in the 80s, and in the 80s, most people who knew me then probably can't imagine me being a teacher and going through the educational system and earning your doctorate in education. I had the typical rock, heavy metal person with the really long hair, and I guess the people tend to label back in the 80s where if you're guilt by association. Oh, you have long hair now. You must be doing so and so and doing something that's not legal. But we never done any of that. We were all into our music, and when I think back now, I think music was the thing that kept us out of trouble. We were always focused on doing something, and even at the time we were helping the community out. We would travel from city to city if they asked us to go, and so we went and performed for them during New Year's, and particularly New Year's. And I think because of our involvement in the community itself as a band, also I went through this period where, I really want to be like and fit in with the mainstream teenage culture then. But then I always feel this part of me that doesn't matter how much I do or what I do, my phenotype's not gonna change, and people is not gonna accept me or as a full-blown, in the full-blown mainstream culture. And so at some point I recognize that it's not me. Although I want to be, but it's not me. It's people will not accept me as so and so because the way I look, and so I went and made me think about education, and made me think about the purpose of why my parents wanted to come here, and it was get your education, then you can have a better life. And so I started to talk to the Career Center person, representative at Hiram Johnson, and her name was Miss Sakai. She was the person that directed me, got me interested in education itself, and so I had the opportunity to work with her and tutor my peers. And so when I finished high school, I went to Sac State. I did my BA, and I did my master's and my administrative credential at Sac State. While I was going through college at Sac State and at City College as well, I was fortunate to have worked with these Mien parents and in West Sacramento, which is where I met Lori, and we sort of worked together at. I was at this elementary school as an instructional assistant in West Sacramento. I think I've done that for about a couple of years, and then they had a position open where I would be the liaison for the Mien community and the school district. And so I took that position, and I worked with Lori and other individuals where we. Yes, Laurie Hammond. And then there's a program that it was called Family English Literacy Program in West Sacramento, where they rented the apartment where all these Mien families lived, and we provided social services. Well, we don't really provide social services, but we act as a liaison person, and I taught English classes, computer classes to the Mien parents who just came to the States. I think at the time they've been here maybe less than 6 years, 5 years. They were still learning English, and at the same time I'm also working with their children at the elementary school. So through working with these parents, we had a project where we sectioned off part of the play area, grassy area. So because at the time we recognized that farming and self-sustaining way of life was what used to be for the Mien people an effective way to live, but because of the technological age that we are at, it wasn't sufficient anymore. And so we thought that maybe, well, we can create a situation for these parents so they can feel that and teach the students that this is what we used to do. And so we sectioned off each parent that would want to participate had their own little plot, and they would have a little plot for their students in classroom. So, and they felt that it was important to build a hut to resembling a traditional Mien garden in Laos. And so we did. We built with these parents. Well, I wasn't much of a help, but their parents, went, and we went and cut down some logs from Laurie Hammond's property in Davis, somewhere near Davis, I can't remember, but and we went and to the surrounding areas of Sacramento to try to purchase some bamboos. I think in Laos, bamboo was instrumental to the building process. And so we bought some of those and we built a traditional hut. And I was fortunate to be teaching there as well. So when I finished my college and my credential program, I taught at that school. I taught 5th grade for a year before I had to move out of the area. But within that year, we worked closely with the parents and to have cooking demonstrations. We have planting demonstrations. I took my students out there. We wrote stories. We read stories in that from the Mien culture. We rewrite it. We illustrate it, and we shared it with the other classes. We spend time in the hut reading and trying to instruct, the traditional curriculum, but with a little supplement on the side. It was great because with all the gardening there, and it just gave us an opportunity to conduct science experiments while working with mathematics. And I remember one of the activities that I had the kids do, we kind of monitor and the garden and see if certain type of insects, and we took a tally of, well, within a week or a day, how these are the insects that visited our classroom plot. It was great. I mean, the kids liked it, the parents liked it, and I think it helps to build the parents' self-esteem as well as the child's self-esteem. Traditionally, the Mien parents, they rely on the classroom teachers and the school institutions to teach their child, and especially with the English language, they really didn't know how to assist the students. And so when we brought them into the classroom and explained to them that your life experience is valuable and we would like to know. And so they came into the classroom, they told stories, and they worked with the kids, so it was great. I'm proud to say that I was one part of that process, because with all that work that went into establishing that school, that site, the garden, the district wanted to remove all the Mien students to another site. We couldn't understand the logic behind that. Well, we didn't care the logic behind that. We put so much time and effort, and we have built these trusts with the parents, and they felt like they have ownership of the school, and now why are we moving them? So it was heartwarming to see that the parents wanted to go and present to the board why they shouldn't move these kids to another school. So we went to the board, and we had parents who spoke broken English, but they got the points across, and we were pleased that right after the last parent spoke, the board had agreed to not relocate these students. So I guess I'm proud to be part of that process. But anyways, I'm sorry, to get back to your question. It was that process that really helped me understand the importance of retaining and teaching the Mien culture to the younger students and younger Mien kids. It was through meeting these newly arrived Mien people and combining with the work that we've done as teenagers, and we really didn't realize what type of implications it might have for our future, but at the time we were just having fun. And now when I think back on it, that was the thing. It is the combination of me involving with the community at 12 or so, and then unknowingly I kept going on that path, and then finally what really helped me understood the whole process was when I worked with the Mien parents in West Sacramento. The unhappy one, I'll start with the negative. The unhappy ones, we were confined to the camp. We couldn't leave. The very few people who could leave had to they need permissions from the guards of the camps. So not many people were able to leave, and we can't leave for any reasons. I'm not sure what the reasons were, but there were some. I think if you were going out to look for employment or visit families, they may grant you permissions, but other than that, it was really hard to get that permission granted. And so most of the Miens, especially if you're younger ones, you just stay in the camp. You can't go anywhere. I think it's, as a child, I think it was because we were confined. We had a lot of younger kids who were there, and we played together, we ran together, and those were happy moments. I mean, you kind of have to find things to do and ways to forget about why you're there, why you're confined, and I guess that's just the human nature to, okay, you're confined. Well, I can't really do anything about that. Well, let's see what other options we have. And as a young child, our options were, let's go play, let's go run in the street, let's go run in the rain, jump in the puddles and break my arm. I remember we played. It's a game. I think it's identical game to the robbers and cops. And I was the robber. I think it was. I ran and my friend chased after me. I tripped. I fell and broke my arm. Went back to grandma, and she was mad and she chased after me with a stick. Why did you go do that and hurt yourself? Lucky for me, she couldn't catch me. But yeah, I think those were the happy moments, even given the situation you were in. I knew that my friends they were always there for me. My parents didn't really know how to support us, and so I imagine most of the Mien parents didn't know how to support their kids, and so besides having someone really stand up for me in situations, I don't think I can recall anyone. Not that they don't want to, it's just they don't know how to. I think a lot of the parents and the elders would probably stand up for you and help you if they knew how to. But they were also busy trying to figure out how do you fit into this system, how do you survive. I think going through that process, they lose the the other aspects of supporting your child, especially when you don't know how to support them. And for example, in the educational system, most of the Mien parents want to support their child, but they don't know how. They don't have the tools. They don't have the knowledge. And I mean, they don't have the academic knowledge, but they have life experience that would support them, but they really didn't know how to utilize their expertise. Well, when we came in 1983, I think it was 84, they, like many newly formed communities, they tend to cluster in the same area, and most of the Mien in Sacramento cluster in the Oak Park area. We were within distance from one family to another. I remember we stayed on one particular street where we were the first family there, but then as soon as other family moved from other parts of the states or maybe the area came, they knew that there's a Mien family there, so they went and rent from the same, there's an apartment where we rent, and as soon as it became available, another Mien family moved in just because they knew someone else is there. And eventually we had about 4 families, and then we end up getting maybe 5 or 6 more in the same area within a couple of blocks of one another. And there was also a group of Mien living in North Highland, and these apartments in North Highlands, and they were all clustered in that area, I guess for safety and support and a sense of belonging. At the time, I didn't realize what was happening, but they did bring in some, I guess, structure, or the Mien form of political structure, where they elected a district leaders and an individual who would oversee all the other leaders in the area. And so I suppose they had some, at the time there wasn't that many, so maybe like 1 or 2 or 3 district leaders in the area. I know currently we have 11 in the Sacramento area, with one individual who kind of oversees all their leaders. And I guess their function was to make sure that everyone's needs were met to the best of the collective community. They settle some disputes for families. I'm not sure if they provide any, monetary support, but they because they themselves don't really know the system and can't speak the language, they couldn't do much outside of the community. But in terms of keeping the community together, functions, rituals, and traditional values within the community, they try to teach that to the community. But at the same time, people like me who thought rock and roll and all this music was the best thing ever, we didn't pay much attention to it. We didn't see the value of what they were trying to instill in us. But they did. They tried. I probably can say that, it probably affected me unknowingly, and somehow in the back of my head, it's probably building as I got older. So at this point in my life, I wanted to see if I can do anything for the community, especially preserving the culture. This is my 16th year teaching. And prior to that, I was an instructional assistant for 5 years. So maybe 21 years in education. I've taught in West Sacramento, I taught in Oakland, I taught for a year in Elk Grove. Just since 2007, I taught for Sac City Unified. Currently, I am an algebra and pre-algebra teacher at Genevieve Didion in the Green Haven area. Well, I think it's important to retain your cultural norms, cultural values. It really, regardless of where you are, your cultural identity is what makes you who you are, and that's the most important thing as you progress through the rest, your lives. And also that if you really work hard at something and focus, you can probably get things done. I mean, for most people, like your previous speaker, Chim Seng Yang, Dr. Chim Seng Yang, and myself, we probably have gone through the same thing. I like to say I'm a person who didn't know any better. People tell me, you can't do that. Well, let me try it. If I tried it and I can't do it, okay, I know I can't do it. So I bring that up because going to school, at many times I feel like I can't do this. And you actually have people tell you, I don't know if you can do this or not. But I continue to push on and ignore what they say, and well, let me try for myself. Eventually, I was able to finish high school. Got my BA at Sac State. I was able to, and people tell me, okay, well, until this day, my in-laws and some elders, they would say, oh yeah, you're a teacher, okay, that's good. You don't need to do anything else. That's a good profession. In the Mien community in Laos and Thailand, you are highly respected if you're an educator in the classroom. And so they say, you should be content with that. And I go, well, I want a master. So I went for my master and didn't think I was gonna get it, and I got it. And I was fortunate to be in a program where it was designed for you to receive your master's and your administrative credential. And so I've got that, and then I say to myself, you know what? I always want to teach at the universities. And after 16 years, I go, oh, yeah, I really want to. Let me see if I can do that. And I applied to a Drexel University. I heard about that through a colleague of mine who works for Elk Grove Unified. And I applied, and then I was pleased that I think they didn't have anyone. Either they see something that's of a value to their program in me, or that they just need to fill the program. So I applied 1 week, and then maybe like a week and a half later, they sent me a letter saying, yes, you're accepted to the doctoral program. And so completed that this past year in June. And now I don't know what to do with it, but I'm sure I'll figure something else to do with that. But you know, I really want the younger generation to know that, you know, it is what's been said about this country. If you put your mind to it and you're persistent in what you want to do, eventually you'll be able to get there. But on your journey towards your education, attainment, or whatever endeavors that you may have, your cultural identity is critical in terms of retaining your cultural identity, for it helps you define and develop the type of individuals you are and you want to become. So I think that's what helped me to want to be a classroom teacher, and realizing that maybe I can be a college professor who instruct other teachers on how to teach these kids, minority students, because I think I have the experience, and I understand how they learn. I understand how they function, and I think I would be useful to the department if I'm serving in that capacity. And so that's why I went and got my doctorate. But without knowing who I am, where I came from, and what's expected of me, I don't think I can do any of that.